is amazing. Did you paint this?
Yeah. I mean, Elle asked me to. She commissioned it, basically. I mean, she told me what to draw. Anyway, my point is, see how you're leading us here? You're guiding the whole party, inspiring us. That's what you do. And see your coat of arms here? It's a heart. And I know it's sort of on the nose, but that's what holds this whole party together. Heart. Because, I mean, without heart, we'd all fall apart. Even Elle, especially Elle. These past few months, she's been so lost without you. It's just, she's so different from other people. And when you're different, sometimes you feel like a mistake. But you make her feel like she's not a mistake at all. Like she's better for being different. And that gives her the courage to fight on. If she was mean to you or she seemed like she was pushing you away, it's probably just because she's scared of losing you, just like you're scared of losing her. And if she was going to lose you, I think she'd rather just get it over with quick, like ripping off a Band-Aid. So yeah, Elle needs you, Mike, and she always will.
Yeah?
Stranger, danger, talking stranger things. Together, forever, we're loving stranger things. It's Stranger Things Forever. Rewatching season 4 from the start to the finish. It's Stranger Things Forever. Every podcast we do will cover just 10 minutes. Stranger danger everywhere. I hope that you people still care. It's time for me to do it. Let's get to it. Come on, everyone.
Happy Monday evening, stranger friends, and welcome back to the evening edition of Stranger Things Forever. Like a long time ago, back when newspapers were a thing, like really a thing, they'd have morning and evening editions of certain newspapers. And that's kind of, and I guess, you know, TV shows do that. There's like Sports Center. Don't they have the morning Sports Center and the evening Sports Center, I think? I don't know. The thing about Sports Center is I used to love it. I used to live to watch that stuff. And now with the internet, it's just everything's at your fingertips. But you'd be homesick from school and you would just put on the morning Sports Center and kind of fall asleep listening to it or watching it. And it would repeat like 3 times. Then all of a sudden you'd wake up and it'd be over and there'd be like roller street hockey on because ESPN didn't have, you know, rights to the greatest sports back then in the middle of the day on a weekday. There was like a roller blade hockey league. Why am I talking about this? I did not plan on talking about this, but that's how I got. Somehow, look, sometimes I plan out everything I want to talk about, and sometimes I hit record and this happens. So I apologize for that. But let's get right into some Stranger Things stuff. Now, that's really the important thing. That's the reason we're all here. I did type Stranger Things into the Google News today, and I saw an article that came out today from the Hollywood Reporter, which means then there'll be 50 blogs out there, 50 different websites with the headlines, taking snippets of things from this article, because this is where the interview happened. But now it's like, check it out. And you click on it. It says, in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, but they want their clicking over here. That's the stuff. Like, you didn't really get that as much before the internet. I guess newspapers would say AP reports, or a TV news would say, as said in the New York Times. So I guess there was some of that. But at the same time, it wasn't like you were hunting in a magazine and you saw a headline, you went over to the magazine and opened up the magazine and it said, in this other magazine is where the actual article is, and then you have to go over there. So, I mean, so it was a different kind of thing. There wasn't like baiting of news baiting in print. I think. Maybe there was. I don't know. But I don't feel like it was such a thing as you get now with the internet. And when I do find articles on the web, remember my rule to this, especially if you don't want to know much, like if there's a review on a movie, but you don't want to hear any sort of spoiler, I always read the first paragraph, then I read the last paragraph, and I skip everything in between, because the last paragraph pretty much gives you a summary of what they think about the movie, and that's all I really care about, especially if it's something I haven't seen. I just want to, if I really want to see their opinion, I just go to the last paragraph, I read the opinion, and I get pretty much everything I need to from there. Now, in this article, it is titled, Duffer Brothers Unveil Stranger Things Endgame Secret. We wanted to swing for the fences. The creators of Netflix's mega hit series have known the final scene since season 2. They reveal as they discuss, closing out their upside down story. This is an article by Josh Wigler, who I absolutely know that name from, I believe he was on a Survivor podcast that I listened to. Well, I still listen to. It's this Rob Has a Podcast, Survivor podcast. And I think he still is part of it, but I haven't heard him in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's where I heard that name. It just says, just like all good things, so too must stranger things come to an end. Now, I'm not going to read this article to you because I'm not going to read this article, but I did see a headline that was referencing this article. So I wanted to at least talk about that moment, that part that was pulled into some Yahoo blog garbage. So I'm scrolling down to one paragraph, and all it says is, according to the Duffers, the brothers have known for a long time how they wanted to end the show. Literally, they say the final scene of the series was mapped out as far back as season 2's development, but the specifics of how to reach that last image, that's where they needed to stay as nimble as the heroes navigating Vecna's various forms of villainy. We've known for a really long time what the final scene of the show was going to be, which gave us a North Star. But as far as a lot of the details, that was us and our writers following the story and the characters in ways that often surprised us. Really, the way we approach every season, and occasionally it's gotten us into trouble. But I think ultimately it was the right way to do this, was as if every season was a movie. Which makes sense, and I'm not going to quote the article anymore, but that's why they called it Stranger Things 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, not season 1, season 2, because they really like to see them as this real long expanded movie. Now, for me, when you're watching a series for a long time and you're invested in it, you really want to see some sort of like ending that feels justified and it feels like satisfying, and there's definitely the example that you get that isn't satisfying. Everyone always talks about The Sopranos, but in a weird way, I feel like it's not satisfying on purpose to make you feel a certain way. Other people didn't like the ending of Lost. I tend to remember really liking it. I haven't watched it in a long time. I loved that series. People did not like how it ended, but I thought it was, I kind of enjoyed it. A show, everyone loved the Breaking Bad ending. I thought that was great. To me, I was a huge fan of Smallville, and the ending of that series I thought was great. And I rewatched that final scene, those final moments over and over and over again. I mean, I loved it. Even the new Superman and Lois, I thought that ending was spectacular. I really, really enjoyed that as well. And I'm trying to think other shows that had great endings. I remember loving Fringe, but I don't remember the ending. The point is, certain endings stick with me. Certain endings don't stick with me, whether for better or for worse. But I'll tell you one thing. The fact that the Duffers have planned ahead to the point where they know exactly what they need it to be, and now let's craft our show to get there, is to me a good sign that they have an ending that they haven't deterred from, they haven't detoured from, and maybe that's the better word. So they know they still believe in it as a satisfying ending, and the fact that they're saying they're swinging for the fences tells me they're going big, they're going all out, and they really, really want to deliver. And they kind of did with every season. I feel like they've delivered, the joke is the lazy joke, I say, is where everyone's like, it's been so long. The kids are in high school now. The kids are in college now. The kids are older now. Okay, guess what? Kids get older. It happens. And when they're kid actors, they get a little older. Big whoop. Get over it. Okay, you're so cool that you don't get older. You're still a young, cool, hip guy. You're older too, buddy. The other day, yesterday actually, I was talking to a medical professional. Okay, someone who graduated from medical school, so he's a smart guy. He is a doctor, and he also loves Stranger Things, so he's exceptionally smart with wonderful taste. He's a friend of mine as well, but he's my friend's nephew, my other friend's son, but I've hung out with him too, gone to concerts with him, and he was saying they hadn't watched it in a while, and they forgot just how good Stranger Things is, him and his wife. And I was like, yeah, of course, and I screamed at him for 45 minutes about how good it is. People were crying, like glasses were thrown against the wall. I was asked to leave 4 times. None of that's true, but he definitely did say that you forget how good it is until you went back and you realize this is a good show. And guess what? It is a good show, but it's not just a good show. It's a great show. It's not just a great show. It's the best show. And that's why we're all here, Stranger Friends. And speaking of why we're here right now, I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's jump right into it. Let's get into the next 10 minutes of Papa. So there are some big moments and some big emotion in this 10 minutes. We start right exactly where we left off. That's how it works. In Russia, with them looking at all the demogorgons and demodogs and all in these tanks, and they close in on one tank that seems to have this sand, dirt, mud, I don't know what you call it, granules, grains flying around, almost like a tornado, just whipping around. And you realize, or at least I realize, that's part of the mind flayer. Right? I mean, that's what it is. And they're looking at this thing. I don't know if any of them had seen this before, right? Like Hopper got close to seeing it with 11 at the gate at the end of Stranger Things 2, right? It was like right behind them and it looked humongous. Everything with Will that happened, though, was like in the upside down, so nobody saw it, right? So I don't know if they have any idea what they're looking at. The only person I think who would really be like, oh my goodness, is Will. Like he would see some connection with this, I think. Well, you know what? They might remember it from Will's drawings, right? All those drawings they did. But I don't know if they'd make the connection that that drawing is what we're seeing here. Anyway, they get distracted because Antonov's like, hey, come here, I have something to show you. They found a grate to go through, and they're joking. Him and Hopper are like, what are the odds? 100 to 1 that they're going to be able to escape. And we jump out of Russia, and we leave Russia, and we don't stay with Russia anymore here. We go over to Nevada, where they seem to actually be using defibrillator paddles to, I don't know, if they're bringing 11 back to life. Like, did her heart stop? Or are they bringing her back on rhythm? Are they trying to get her heart back to normal beating? As I can tell you, I'm not the medical professional. And if he ever listens to this, fast forward 5 seconds, or ignore that last part, I should say. But she does awaken. Her eyes open. They're like, how do you feel? 11, can you hear us? Can you hear us? She takes her mask off. They gave her a breathing mask, obviously, because they're trying to get oxygen into her. And they're going to stop her, but they're like, I think Brenner says, no, leave her. And he pictures her mother again saying, hi, Jane. She hears her mother's voice. She sits up, stands up, goes over in front of the Nina tank, and she just puts her hand out and her eyes, and she just focuses. And this friggin' tank, which probably weighs a couple tons, hundreds of pounds, it's bolted down, it's filled with water and TVs, and she just lifts this thing. She uses her powers, and this thing breaks through the bolts and gets lifted like, I don't know, 10, 15 feet in the air. For some reason, I had it in my head that she was going to like twist her hand and break this thing. Almost like I'm showing off my powers, but I never want to be in something like this again. She didn't do that. She just lifted it up. She's like, I have the power, and then lifted it and then placed it right back down. And I wanted Brenda to look at Owens. Are we back? Oh, I think we're back. And then they high five. Instead, they just look like, wow. So we leave Nevada and we move over to the road heading towards Nevada. In fact, I don't know if they're in Nevada yet. I forgot what the sign said, but they're definitely heading there in the Surfer Boy pizza van. And while they're driving by, they see a billboard for Surfer Boy Pizza. And Argyle's like, holy shit, dude, check it out. I didn't know that place expanded into Nevada. Watch out, Domino's. And, we don't realize at that moment just how important that other Surfer Boy Pizza is going to be. But it's funny, like, things like that aren't done by accident. Like, the Duffers don't do something like that. They wouldn't put that there if it didn't mean something, and it meant something. So they're driving along, and we cut into the back seat with Will and Mike. And Will asks Mike, how far is Nina from Vegas? And Mike's like, from Susie's coordinates, if they're right, about 90 miles. Why? And then Will says, once we save Elle, we should stop in Vegas on the way back. Elle could make us like super rich, and we'd never have to work. We could just play D&D and Nintendo for the rest of our lives. And Mike's kind of distracted. He's like, yeah, totally. But I thought about what Will said right there. And he says a lot more. But let's talk about that right there for a second. It reminded me of me, where I am not a big, huge fan of change. And you can see Will is not that either. Remember last season, everyone's dealing with girlfriends. And this guy is dressed as the wizard. He still wants to play D&D. And he just wants things to stay the same. And I get that on a personal level because I hate change. I had a buddy who lived about 10 minutes away. This is the same. I was at his house yesterday to watch the Patriots game. And there was this moment where he was going to move into our neighborhood. He almost bought a house in our neighborhood where I could have ridden my bike over or had a walkie-talkie just like, Dustin and Lucas. And it didn't work out. And now he lives about 20 plus minutes away. I hate that. I hate that he's further away. Or just like the thought of like, oh, my niece and nephew, they're in high school now. They don't want to do this because they're in high school. I'm like, oh, but I want to do it. Why don't they want to do it? Like, they're too cool. I hate change. I love things. I love routines, and I love things, kind of staying the same. And I love cold, comfortable routine. Is that the same thing? I was going to say cold, comfortable change, but that's from Pink Floyd, and that's not what I like. I don't like change. And I feel like that's what Will's getting here too, where he, like, what's fun? Playing Nintendo and Dungeons and Dragons. Why can't we do that forever? But on top of that, Will lost a lot of time. Yes, I guess technically he was only gone for like, a week and a half. But he was, a lot of normal childhood moments were stripped of him because of the trauma and the stuff he's had to deal with. They've all had to deal with a lot of stuff, but him more than any of them. So I can see that as well. Him just wanting to just have fun doing fun stuff. He enjoys enjoying stuff. But while he brings it up, Mike's like, oh, yeah, totally. And he's like, we're going to make it, Mike. She's going to be okay. And then Mike has this interesting speech where he's like, and I wrote down what he said here. Some of it you've heard at the beginning of the episode. Part of this whole conversation. He says, I know she is, but like, what if after this is over, she doesn't need me anymore? He's like, what are you talking about? She's always going to need you. He's like, I keep telling myself that, but I don't believe it. I mean, she's special. Like, she was born special. And maybe I was one of the first people to realize it. But the truth is, when I stumbled on her in the woods, she just needed someone. It's not fate, destiny, it was luck. And one day she's going to realize I'm just some nerd who got lucky. That Superman landed on my doorstep. I mean, at least Lois Lane is a reporter. I mean, right, but me, like, and he's like, you know what? I'm sorry. And Will's like, no, it's fine. It's just like, you're scared of losing her, And he goes, can I show you something? And that's when he pulls out the painting, the thing that he's had for such a long time, where it shows this giant dragon with multiple heads fighting these knights. And there's like a wizard that's definitely Will. It looks like there's a knight on horseback that's Lucas. There is a like, I guess you could say a dwarf looking guy with a big axe. That would be Dustin. And in the front, in the lead, is Mike holding a shield with a heart on it. And he's like, did you make this? This is amazing. He's like, yeah. Elle asked me, like, she commissioned it. She told me what to draw. But basically, you know, my point is, see how you're leading us here? You're guiding the whole party. You inspire us. And you see that on the shield here? That's a heart. And I know it's, you know, it's kind of on the nose, but that's what holds this party together. It's heart. Especially, you know, without heart, we'd fall apart. Even Elle, especially Elle. And everything he says right here, he's saying about Elle, but you can tell that he's saying it about himself. He's saying these past few months, she's been so lost without you. Like, take part of that. Just take she and her and say me and I. It's just she's so different from other people. And when you're different, sometimes you feel like a mistake. But you make her feel like she's not a mistake at all. Like she's better for being different. And that gives her the courage to fight on. He goes on to say, like, if she was mean to you or if she seemed like she was pushing you away, it's because she's scared of losing you, like you're scared of losing her. And if she was going to lose you, I think she'd just rather get it over with quick, like ripping off a Band-Aid. So, yeah, Elle needs you, Mike. And she always will. He's like, yeah? He goes, yeah. And then he turns away and he tries to compose himself as he breaks down into tears. Mike is oblivious to this. But you know who isn't? It's big brother Jonathan, who looks in the mirror and kind of sees, he would listen to that whole thing and he sees that Will is having a hard time. Now, let's talk about this moment here, because I remember seeing it originally and it's like, this is Will basically talking about himself to Mike. Like, is it his way? Like, I think some people, or sometimes I would think of it as a moment where he's trying to tell Mike that he's in love with him. And there's always, you know, you see all this talk online that Will loves Mike and Will wishes Mike would love him back. And that is one interpretation of it. But it could also just be him saying, you know, you are such a good friend that you make me feel like somebody. And, you know, when you weren't there, you're someone who's different. Like, I feel like I'm different. I feel like when you're different, sometimes you feel like a mistake, but you make me feel like I'm not a mistake at all. You make me feel better for being different. Regardless of, you know, if he had like romantic feelings towards him, he's just saying, you know, I am coming to terms with the fact that I am different. And in the 1980s, where it was even harder to have to deal with, you know, being different. I mean, they never come out and say, you know, I don't think they ever come out, and Will never comes out and says like, I'm gay, but it's just, it's almost, to me, it's how I interpret all of it. And I assume it. And with Jonathan and him later on with a great emotional moment of just acceptance and love, which is all that effing matters, really. I mean, come on. And for a kid like this, who's probably confused and trying to figure out what's going on in his world, and me, I have no like experience with any of that. So anything I'm saying right now is just my thoughts. I don't know, but like, he's probably afraid of being pushed away from his friends. But at the same time, this friend makes him feel, or has always made him feel comfortable and always made him feel like he belongs. And when that was taken away from him, you know, it hurt him when he had to move to Florida. Oh, when he had to move to California, that was taken away from him. And just the fact that it's kind of been rocky between them while separated, he basically is saying, I need you, Mike, in my life. We all need you in our lives. And so maybe there's a tinge of like, I don't know if the tinge of like the romantic feelings there or not, but it's a feeling of love and friendship and, you know, comfort and just like this feeling of I think comfort, that's the word I was probably going for, that Mike gives him. And him, that crying part, I don't know if I take it as I'll never have that with you. I'll never have what you'll never feel about me the way you feel about Elle, or if it's him just being like, I'm trying to come to terms and accept myself for who I am, and I hope that you who makes me feel better, I hope you accept me as well. So I guess there's two ways of looking at it. I don't know if either way is right or either way is wrong. I may be way off. I just watched this again, a little while ago, and it's been a while since I've seen it. So I'm just kind of looking at it, what it could possibly be, two different angles. I don't know exactly, but I do know one thing. He loves Mike. Mike loves him. He needs Mike. Mike needs him. Elle loves Mike. Mike loves Elle. And Sloth loves Chunk. That's a completely different movie, but that's where my head goes sometimes. So it's a great scene. It's a heartbreaking scene, but it's also like Will giving Mike a pep talk, but also trying to give himself a pep talk. I think that's where I'm going with here. I think that's what I'm doing here. And hopefully everything I said made sense. And I'm trying to be like I don't want to sound like an idiot. I'm trying to give my interpretation of what I think is happening here, without sounding completely like I don't know what I'm talking about, even though I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of guessing here. And I'm just trying to, I guess what I'm saying is be sensitive to everyone's feelings, because God damn it, there are a lot of a-holes out there in the world that hate people for what they are instead of who they are. And those people, the Demogorgon, I want to eat their faces. That's how I feel about those people. So I'm going to leave that at that. And I love that scene. It is heartbreaking, but it's also really kind of sweet as well. And I love Mike's genuine reaction to Will's awesome painting. So that's kind of where we leave it. We leave it with Jonathan looking at Will, almost just like, he seeing that his brother, is in some pain and probably needs a little love and a little pep talk himself. So we leave them in the van and we cut back to Nevada, and we have basically this whole last moment is a monologue from Brenner talking to Eleven, but we do see shots of him like looking at the crack, the seal of the gate, and we see him like doing tests with her and doing like they show the Coca-Cola thing and all the tests they kind of run with her over the years, and he says after the attack you fell into a coma, like one you had pushed yourself beyond your limit. Remember one when he was a kid, he collapsed. He goes, and it very nearly destroyed you, but that is where your similarities end. What you displayed that day was beyond anything I'd ever imagined, a potential I'd only dreamed of. Well, that's sad that you're dreaming of these kids with powers, and you want them to have such magical powers that they can rip a hole in the in nature, in time, in the universe. He says, but when you awoke, something had been lost. Your memories, along with whatever you've found within yourself that day. So that's why she doesn't remember this. But I knew, just like I knew today, that your powers had not been lost. They just needed a spark. But that day you awakened something else. So they say that they needed the spark. That's when they showed all the different testings they were doing. But he says you awakened something else that day, a doorway to another world. And he goes, I always thought that Henry was out there, hiding in the darkness. I didn't know for sure, not beyond a feeling. That's the 10 minutes, but it shows him like in the hazmat suit, standing, looking at the gate. Remember they were sending people through the gate. Like, was he looking for Henry all this time? Was that what he was looking for? That kind of, it is possible. It makes a little sense that that's why he was doing all this, because he knew Henry Creel. He knew one was out there. One love. But that's it. That's this 10 minutes. So it started with some craziness with a mind flayer in a mind flayer in a jar, I guess you could say, in a glass case. Then we had 11 show some amazing powers picking up Nina. We had a really kind of wonderful, as I said, heartbreaking, emotional, but also sweet moment with Will and Mike. And then with Jonathan, of course, taking notice while Argyle has no idea what the hell's going on. He's more interested in pizza places. And then finally, we finish with Brenner talking to 11 about 1 and how kind of giving a brief summary of how from there we got to the Upside Down and we got to the first season of Stranger Things. So that's the gist of what happened in these 10 minutes of Papa. So I will be back tomorrow with more Papa. There'll be at least 1, if not 2 episodes. That's what I've been aiming for, especially on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, whenever possible. As many days possible as I can get 2 in, I will. So I will talk to you tomorrow for sure. But until then, you can follow me on all the socials at Geek Mentality, except TikTok, which is Geek Mentality Mike. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts. The YouTube channel is Fans Not Experts. That's because the website where all my podcasts are is fansnotexperts.com. However, if you just want to look at Stranger Danger, go to strangerdangerpodcast.com. It'll bring you directly there. And, of course, you can follow strangerdangerpodcast.com on the Blue Sky. So that is it. I am done. I will talk to you tomorrow, my friends. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Stay stranger, my friends. And remember, it's people like you and people like me, people all over the world. We are the ones who help keep Stranger Things alive forever.
Fans Not Experts.